soften their tissue, and so that's what actually gives coral reefs their color. And they provide a protected environment, and so in return, the zooxanthellae gives them oxygen through photosynthesis. And the algae also helps the coral remove waste. So since both of the organisms benefit from this association, that's mutualism. In addition to this, over 500 million people depend on reefs for food, income, and protection, and as well as their economy, because fishing, diving, and snorkeling around reefs can add hundreds of millions of dollars to local businesses. The net economic value of the world's coral reefs is estimated to be nearly tens of billions of US dollars per year. Furthermore, these ecosystems are culturally important to indigenous people. And so again, we see this idea of bioculturalism, of how different demographics are impacted by climate change. So indigenous communities and coastal working class communities contribute less to climate change than, for instance, corporations or the uber wealthy, but they're the ones who are paying the price for it, whereas corporations and the uber wealthy continue to benefit. If you've seen Parasite, that idea is sort of reflected in there as well. Yeah, okay, so we're gonna talk about coral bleaching, and I'll go through like the science of that, but here you can just see the difference between the live coral and the bleached dead coral. So what happens with bleaching is the algae is expelled due to increased water temperature, and this exposes the white skeleton underneath. Yeah, and the next photo, there you go. So there's a lot of different reasons for coral bleaching, but basically record temperatures have killed almost half of the coral in the Great Barrier Reef. And bleaching doesn't always mean death, but it does weaken the skeleton of the coral. They can recover. However, corals are like high school students in that they're very easily stressed creatures. And so being inundated with an abundance of factors can really, really weaken their health to the point that they die. So in the past, they might have recovered when the water cooled, and that process could take 10 to 15 years, but it's been so long of season after season of bleaching, a range of species of coral reefs all over the world are experiencing these mass die-offs. And the next photo, oh, that's fine. Yeah, okay, so this is kind of interesting. There's actually something called colorful bleaching, and as you can see, there's that bright purple algae among, bright purple coral among that bleached coral. So what happens is these bright colors actually act as a protective layer similar to sunscreen when the algae is lost. And the colorful process actually also encourages the algae to come back. So it's sort of like the coral's last signal for help, which is really, really sad, but also kind of poetic. And basically, the algae soaks up the sunlight that the coral receives, and so when the algae is gone, the coral is going to deal with an excess of sunlight, and their white skeletons reflect it, and that increases stress some more. So they've sort of adapted this process where these increased levels of internal light boost the production of colorful photoprotective pigments. So when it starts to die, some species of coral will start to turn these really bright colors trying to get their algae back. Okay, and hang on. So solutions, obviously the long-term solution would be to reduce greenhouse gases, but that's sort of like a really huge global thing. And there's a statistic that like 70% or so of the world's greenhouse gas emissions come from like the top 100 corporations. And so that's sort of a solution that needs to be looked at legislatively. And so what a lot of communities are doing is they're trying to reduce local stressors as well as reducing greenhouse gases overall. So like I said, corals are really, really sensitive creatures, and so we can improve their resilience by addressing local stressors like runoff from land-based sources of pollution, as well as the overharvesting of fish. But let's focus on what we can do as individuals. So next slide. One thing that I learned from researching this, which is really interesting, is the sunscreen that we wear really matters. So there's a chemical in sunscreen that is highly toxic to coral reefs, but is still used in most sunscreens. So if you're looking for sunscreen that is safe for coral reefs, you should look for mineral sunscreens, and the ingredient that you're going to want is zinc oxide or titanium dioxide, and it's way safer for coral reefs. This is especially important if you're like going swimming in the ocean, especially if you're swimming in an area that's close to coral reefs. The second thing is choosing sustainable seafood, which we'll talk about more when we get to overfishing. Basically, there's something called the Seafood Watch, which is an app by the Monterey Bay that I use, and it sort of tells you which brands and which species of fish is more sustainable than others. Yeah. So let's talk about how coral bleaching actually happens. This is because of something called ocean acidification. So carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is absorbed at the surface of the ocean. And as we're producing more and more carbon dioxide, that increase of release of greenhouse gases, this results in more hydrogen ions, which increases the acidity of the ocean. And as the oceans become more acidic, there's less calcium carbonate, which is a chemical that is needed in, wait, sorry, let me drink some water. Which is a chemical that's needed for clams and mussels and coral, as well as a few other species. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna pass it off to Mackenzie now.
Okay, yeah.
You're mute.
Thank you. Sorry. But yeah, Emma's definitely right about that. Most of ocean acidification is due to contributes to coral bleaching, and this is mostly due to corporate companies and a lot of big companies that are contributing to the carbon dioxide is going into the air. But basically 25% of human generated CO2 is absorbed by oceans, and basically it just combines with the seawater and reacts with it, and it forms carbonic acid, which lowers the ocean's pH. And this can be really harmful for many marine species because it dissolves their exoskeletons, and it also bleaches corals. And this is a little graphic that's really important. On the left is what would happen if it was just a healthy amount of carbon dioxide. And then on the bottom over there, it says that there'll be an abundant healthy corals, mollusks, and other marine calcifiers. And then on the right is what is predicted for the year of 2100. And that's when we're going to have a lot more carbon dioxide, less carbonate ions being able to help with those exoskeletons and eventually lowering the pH of the ocean.
We're actually going to focus more on overfishing later, but basically, I found this graphic that I thought was really interesting. I wanted to share with you guys. It's on the next slide, which sort of summarizes, it's kind of overwhelming, all of the problems with overfishing. But what I thought was interesting, what I want to tell you guys today is about bycatch. So every fish that is caught, there's a ton of like other species or fish that's undesirable that's also caught, and it's tossed back into the water dead. And so it's this huge amount of waste that's not accounted for, that I didn't know about before I researched this. So yeah, we're going to talk about aquaculture, which is sort of an alternative.
Okay, so aquaculture is basically like farming underwater. It broadly refers to the cultivation of aquatic organisms in controlled aquatic environments for commercial, recreational, or public purpose. And the United States is a major contributor to many of these products because we import about 84% of our seafood, and half of that is from aquaculture. So we're still a minor producer. And can you go to the next slide? There are 4 stages of the production chain. The first stage is hatchery, And this is where they breed the fish, and the hatching of eggs and rearing of fish through the early life stages happens. Once the animals are mature enough, they're transferred to the farm where they grow to harvest size using feed produced at feed mills. And then after they're processed in a processing facility where they're packaged and sent to grocery stores. So there are two main types of aquaculture. The marine one is when it's they're done in the ocean, and it typically makes up 20% of US production. And this includes mostly oysters, clams, mussels, shrimp, salmon, and algae. And then freshwater is the opposite. It's mostly produces species like catfish and trout, and it takes place in ponds and freshwater man-made systems. There are a lot of environmental benefits of aquaculture, but the main one is that it's environmentally friendly, where it doesn't really take that much water usage. Aquaculture has a typically very low greenhouse gas emissions compared to other types of farming. And this is often because they take advantage of harvest runoffs, stormwater, and surface water. And this reduces their dependency to other water supplies. It's also a really big contributor to food production. You eat a lot of fish. A lot of people in the US eat a lot of fish. And then let's see. It's also a cleaner and farmable source of energy. And algae fuel is basically where algae produces lipids that are harvested, and they can be burned as an alternative fuel. So that's like, could be a new alternative to fossil fuels. Yeah, okay. I think we have a Kahoot for you. Jack, do you want to share the Kahoot? Cool.
Sure thing.
Also in the chat, Sammy said, can we also discuss Reef Safe Sunscreen? I touched on that a little bit, but I can talk about it a little bit more in depth now if you guys like. So there are like specific brands that you can look for from a skincare perspective, because I also really love skincare. You want to make sure your sunscreen is 50 SPF at the minimum, and wear every single day if you don't want aging. But basically, yeah, so there's chemical sunscreen and mineral sunscreen. Chemical sunscreen generally is the kind that's not reef safe. Some is, but mineral sunscreen is usually reef safe. The problem is that a lot of mineral sunscreen does leave like white cast, so it's not always great for people with darker skin tones. Dr. Olson said too late on the aging front. It's never too late to start wearing sunscreen. Never. Gonna be fine. You should start now. I'll send Dr. Olson some sunscreen. I use Sunbum because I know that that brand is reef safe. Also, Hawaii has actually banned the sale of non-reef safe sunscreens, which I thought was really interesting. So that's an example of how legislation can have an impact on the environment. So yeah. Let's see. Is Jack able to share the screen?
Also, I forgot to mention, but seafood is very highly resource efficient. So basically has a really high protein retention compared to other meats such as chicken, pork, and beef. And that's kind of what makes it more environmentally sustainable than other meats.
Oh, okay, we have the Kahoot ready. Where's the music? I miss her.
Do you mind if I go grab like a tool really quick? I gotta open my package.
Wow, look at her. Yes, unboxing probably.
It's my test kits for my fish tank finally came. Kind of excited.
Oh. I can be the music. Doom, 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 doom. Wait, I'm gonna find, hang on, Kahoot music on YouTube.
Are you just gonna play it from your phone?
Yeah. I saw Kahoot WAP remix and it was kind of
Oh my
fire.
gosh, it was. Why does WAP go with everything?
It really does. Can you hear it?
Yeah, man. Why'd you turn it down? Come on.
Let me know what angle is best for optimum listening.
This is a good angle. Good job. Okay. Do we have any more people? How many people do we have? We have 23. Come on, guys. Join the Kahoot.
I'd play the Kahoot, but I would absolutely smoke y'all. That would be unfair.
Wish. Okay, let's get one more person because the number 14 bothers me.
What?
It's such a weird number.
I like it. It's divisible by 7. That's nice.
Okay, well, isn't like 51 divisible by 17? That doesn't make it a nice number.
Yes, it does.
We lost one.
Okay,
Oh no.
someone left, so
Okay,
they solved the problem.
Fair enough. I guess it's not 14.
Oh, no, we have 14 again. Hi, Amber.
Is there no one else?
Just start. It's
Okay,
fine.
start. I guess
You can
we'll
deal
have
with
to
your
deal
own
with
anxieties
our
about
own
the
trauma.
number.
Okay, Jack, go ahead and start it.
Are we starting?
Yeah. 15!
Yay!
Yes, I'm so proud. Thank you, Arya.
Thank you, Arya. Love to see it. I can read the questions. Which is not an environmental benefit of aquaculture?
Yay, good job.
Increasing fishing production.
So basically, it decreases fishing pressure because it doesn't like make them have more pressure to fish. So we're good.
Doesn't increase demand for fishing. What's the first stage of aquaculture production chain? Hey! Okay.
Okay. I guess you guys were right, but like hatchery is the formal name, but hatchery is basically just them giving birth. So I guess you guys are right for those who chose
Kenzie,
birth.
you really tricked them like that.
Sorry.
How much of human-generated CO2 is absorbed by oceans? I think this one's approximately an estimate, but yeah.
Approximately an estimate.
King of redundancy.
But yeah, this was like from the ocean acidification part. So if you remember. Not 70, yeah. 25% is in our oceans now.
Mema is on the board. I believe that's Ian, not me. Bleach coral is dead coral.
It's probably 2.
False. Bleach coral is not dead coral, but it's very stressed out, sad coral.
Ooh.
Shallow water reef building coral have a blank relationship with a type of photosynthetic algae. Mutualistic, competitive, parasitic, no relationship. They hate each other.
I guess this isn't really a question, but does anyone remember what the photosynthetic algae is called that Emma mentioned? You can just like unmute if you remember. It's kind of hard to say.
I remember. Yeah, Kavya, do something. I think it's pronounced zooxanthally, like it's Xanthall.
Number 1, first place for the spelling bee. Good job, Emma. and Kavya.
People thought I was dyslexic until I was like 7, so yeah, I am. What is aquaculture? Organisms controlled in aquatic environments for public purpose. Good job, pretty much everyone, except for that one person who picked blue. That's a big
Way
shame
to
on
single them out.
I just did. Long-term solution for coral reefs, reduction of greenhouse gases.
This is pretty.
Yay! I'm getting a phone call, so the music stops.
Sammy and Audrey in the lead.
Multi-select.
Surprising
What is colorful bleaching? Acts as a protective layer to attract more organisms, a natural habitat of coral reefs, or acts as a neon sign encouraging the algae to come back. Yay, good job. Mema is climbing up the charts, as well as high, cov, and frowny
I'm a
face.
fashion.
Short-term solution for coral reefs is an increase in local stressors. Do we need to make them more stressed out or less stressed out? Yay, false. Good job, everyone. 2 people. Okay, Podia.
Drum roll.
Who's in third place? 7 out of 9 is high.
Hi.
Good job, high. Second place, Mema. I don't know who that is because it's not me. First place, bum, Sammy. Okay.
Hey. Okay, wait. Someone write the name down. So
Yeah. So currently we have Kelly
Audrey.
with 1, Alex with 1, and Sammy with 1. Good job.
Good job, Audrey and Frowny Face too, because you guys were 4th and 5th.
Yes,
Yay.
we love runner-ups.
But yeah.
Do you guys have any idea for what like a good prize would be? Like it could give you guys metal straws because that's always a popular one, but people aren't really going
Safe
places. I don't know
sunscreen.
how useful that is. Huh?
Just get them sunscreen. It's
I
winter.
absolutely get everyone sunscreen. Okay. Yeah, let's all get Sammy sunscreen. Prize ideas. Sunscreen. Oh yeah, a case of plastic water bottles. That sounds like a fantastic idea.
Yes.
Or I will personally deliver you some propagated pothos.
Oh look, I got new gum. Simply
Oh,
gum.
how is that? It's like $2.
Yeah, it is. It's like it like decomposes, unlike like other ones. But they look weird. But it's probably because they're like natural, I guess.
Life hack: you don't have to buy decomposing gum if you swallow.
Swallow it. Wow.
I have
I'm
never
scared.
spit
I
out
feel like
gum in
something's
my
gonna
life.
grow in my stomach.
Might be. Oh well.
I mean, I thought that only worked for like watermelon seeds when I was a kid.
It might.
I still don't swallow water, like the black ones.
I have eaten so many things I'm not supposed to eat, so we'll see what happens. Oh.
Ooh.
Maybe I'm like a shark where they like do the autopsy and they're like, there's a cannonball in here. Did you read about that shark that ate a cannonball? Okay.
You mean me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, sharks can't sneeze.
What?
That makes sense.
I guess.
That they can't sneeze. Because where would it come from? Fish probably can't sneeze either. Okay, on that note, thanks for coming, y'all. It is 3:28. There's a knitting club directly after this, which you guys should come to if you so like. Super great seeing you guys. And see you next week for a more talk on biodiversity.
Yeah, we're almost
Stay
done.
tuned to see who wins the magical prize that we don't know what it is yet.
I should stop recording, huh?